All right, so we're finally here. Turning point. TEW Impact, week 3 of November 2022. I'm not going to do a news segment because there's not a lot of news considering we just had Impact 2 days ago. Um, if I remember right, we had like slight upticks in most of our ratings, but nothing major. So I'm not really going to go over them here. I'll just add them to next episode's news roundup. We did have a backstage incident though, before the show. Good one, and one I haven't had yet. So this is one I'm likely to or glad to see. Uh, and I will just say, well, I'll just say it. Mercedes Martinez is willing to put over Zhao Zia. Apparently, we get to do that twice over like a 5 month period if we choose to do that, which we likely will. I haven't had any major incident. Well, not. I still don't even consider that a major incident, but more so than wrestlers court and video game tournaments. Haven't really had anything more than that this game so far. But we got someone willing to put someone over. We're gonna take advantage of that. Um, but yeah, no real lead up to the show, so let's just get into it. All right, so we are starting off the pre-show for Turning Point with the Digital Media Championship. No disqualification match between Zhao Zia and Max the Impaler, and this time it is Zhao Zia retaining by pinfall after 7:42. We had some Mad Dog Diener interference, backfire. Basically, this was a story of the smaller and quicker Zaya uh, facing the brutish Max. Zaya having to use some sort of weapons to get around Max and eventually put Max down. Um, but yeah, successful title defense, number 7 of the digital media title. But only a segment rating of 35. Zhao Zia with a 30, Max with a 36. I don't know why Zhao Zia's performance normally not that low, but they did have good chemistry, so that's good. Mad Dog Diener doing good work at ringside. This will likely be. I didn't really have a storyline regarding this, but this will likely be the end of Zia versus Max. Uh, like I mentioned earlier, we have the opportunity for Mercedes Martinez to put Zia over. So plus, I've been kind of wanting to move her away from the digital media title and onto proper TV and proper knockouts roster instead of just before the impacts and turn or pre-shows and stuff like that. So we will be moving Zhao elsewhere in the near future, but regardless, a successful title defense in a no DQ match, Shazia defeating Maxine Paler, retaining the Impact Digital Media title. And then afterwards, we get a music video of sorts because that's kind of Joe Hendry's thing. So we have Joe Hendry and Nick Stapp revealing their mystery partner for their pre-show match against the Maria Kanellis unit of Steve Macklin, Matthew Raywalt, and Black Taurus, claiming that they have a Black Taurus of their own. Um, it ends up being, well, okay, before before we do all that, a Zhao Zia successful title retention celebration, segment rating of 33. But then we go into Joe Hendry and Nick Stapp's music video of sorts, revealing their their version of Black Taurus, part man, part beast, but it's not Mantar, it's the Boar. Anyone in the Northeast regions of independent wrestling, anyone who is familiar with Chikara, nose of the boar. So this is how we are bringing the boar in as part of the crew of Joe Hendry and Nick Stapp to hopefully uh, take on Black Taurus. Um, board debuted as board gimmick. Initial rating of great. Advancing storyline with this gimmick. Very marketable gimmick. Will sell a lot more merchandise than usual. So that is pretty good. But a segment rating of 26. I don't know what Boar's overness is necessarily at, but it is likely fairly low, hence the low segment rating. But we go to the 6-man tag. Eventually, we do get a face off between the Boar and Black Taurus. The Boar actually having a slight height advantage on Black Taurus, but not necessarily a power advantage or maybe even or an experience advantage. So in the end, the Maria Kanellis unit, Black Taurus, Matthew Rowell, and Steve Macklin still defeat Joe Hendry, Nick Stapp, and the Boar when Black Taurus pinned the Boar. The Boar being the weak link, which is to be expected considering how new he is. A Boar with an in-ring performance of 12. Uh, Nick Stapp with 21, Joe Hendry with a 37, Ray Walt with a 37, then Black Taurus and Macklin with 34s. So not a great match, but that's why it's on the pre-show. Also, getting the Boar acclimated to his new surroundings in Impact. Robert Evans doing good work at ringside as usual. Moving Evans from a road agent to a manager has, a better fit for him. So, but a segment rating of 33. The plan of Hendry and Nick Stapp bringing the Boar in to negate the force that is Black Taurus not necessarily working out. So that results in Maria Kanellisi's crew still getting the win. And then to wrap up the pre-show, we get a hype video hyping up the main event tonight, the world title defense. Christian Cage defending against Speedball Mike Bailey's defending the world title later tonight. I normally don't, like I said, I normally don't do hype video segments because they don't do that great. This only gets a 32, but that's why it's on the pre-show because pre-show ratings don't count. So I think that was mostly just to fill time anyway and just see how if this would do some sort of better rating in the future, but likely not. So, but that's why we put it here. So that's the end of the pre-show. Let us go to the main card of Turning Point. So we start off Turning Point with one of the matches for the beginning of the World X Cup starting tonight. We start off with the match between the captain of Team Australia, Buddy Matthews, and the captain of Mexico, Mascara Dorada. In the end, it is Mascara Dorada getting the win with a quick cradle after almost 12 minutes. A good match, segment rating of 46. Buddy Matthews with an in-ring of 45, Mascara Dorada with a 52. The World X Cup angle gaining heat. So what this means to start off the World X Cup, Team Mexico getting 2 points, Team Australia with none. But after the match, we get a development with Team Australia. As you may have known if you've been keeping track, the teams for each of the World X Cup teams must be finalized by tonight. Both Team Australia and Team Canada were looking for a fourth member, but we get Team Australia's fourth member in the form of Jonah. As Mascara Dorada gets his quick roll-up pin, he kind of dives out of the ring, bounces out of the ring, gets his hand raised by the referee outside of the ring. and as he slowly, backs his way up towards the ramp, he gets plowed by a running Jonah running out of the back. Basically body checks him into like the apron, or maybe like a full body splash in Mascara Dorada into the apron. Um, and then that causes Buddy Matthews to join in the beatdown with Jonah. And basically, Buddy Matthews gets the microphone and kind of confirms that Team Australia's fourth member for the World X Cup is none other than Jonah. Jonah, we have not seen in months. I believe he might still be New Japan Strong, their main champion. I would have to double check. Fingers crossed here because this is his heel turn, and the game doesn't like sudden heel turns. He is set to turn and has been building up for one segment. This segment, he's already got cooled momentum, and I believe he's still mad at us for something that we did earlier in the year. So fingers crossed. Will this turn heel work out for us? Okay, good. So yeah, I was kind of worried about that, but turning Jonah heel ended up being a success. Segment rating of 37, and I don't think I have another segment with that relating to that. But basically, like I said, the captain, Buddy Matthews, confirming Jonah as Team Australia's fourth member. They don't have any points, but, you know, Team Mexico walks out with 2 points, but Team Australia walks out with one hell of a ringer for their team. We go to the four-way knockouts tag team title match in a bout that had a decent reaction but subpar wrestling. The BFFs retain against Viper and Tenille versus the Inspiration versus Janai Kai and Savannah Evans. In the end, Chelsea Green pinning Jessie McKay with ropes for leverage. I think I just had them cheating to win. But in the end, the BFFs are walking out of Turning Point. Still, the Knockouts Tag Team titles holders. Let's go down the in-ring report when we had a 38. Chelsea Green with a 29. Deonna with a 46. Tenille with a 37. Viper with a 36. Cassie 36. Jessie 37. Savannah 24. Janai 23. So kind of a split here between like our 30s and our 20s. We are ending this storyline, the storyline that has gone between the BFFs. We basically having Chelsea pin one of the Inspiration because the feud itself was, born out of the BFFs versus the Inspiration. It did involve Tenille and Viper, and once Tenille split off, Janai and Savannah Evans were kind of just to fill out the field here. But in the end, the BFFs reigning supreme over the Knockouts Tag Team division, and after the match, they celebrate, you know, them winning the titles, their claims to basically having no competition, kind of confirmed after, defeating three top teams in the company. So, the BFFs still Knockouts Tag Team title holders, tag team champions. I gotta say, tag team title. Knockouts Tag Team champions who will step up in the future to end this reign, who knows? But it might not be anytime soon. Segment rating of 39 for that. We go to the 51-50 street fight, Homicide versus Colby Carino. In the end, it's Colby Carino getting the win after a submission, I guess, when John Schuyler, of all people, interferes in the match. The match with, Homicide saying that Hernandez has been taken out, so Hernandez won't be a factor. Colby Carino, Homicide having defeated Anthony Henry and Hikuleo to make sure that they would not be factors in this match. But Colby Carino having, an ace up his sleeve when John Schuyler, of all people, basically comes out of the crowd, hits Homicide from behind with a chair, and which leads to Colby Carino getting the win. Um, Kind of a weird note. Um, we have a street fight, and we had a no DQ match earlier. Apparently, those don't count as hardcore matches. And we know that Impact does not, Impact is Impact style is episodic entertainment, which gets a penalty to hardcore matches. But we're not suffering a penalty with these matches because they're technically not hardcore. They're just street fight and no DQ, and that makes no sense to me. But I've spoken my piece about that whole thing anyway. That the impact not the so-called impact audience not liking hardcore matches is kind of bullshit considering we they have hardcore matches all the time. They have monsters ball matches on regular TV. uh, but yeah, segment rating of 36. Colby Carino with a 44, Homicide with a 27. Homicide is injured. He has a undisclosed illness he could work through. So I was worried about what this would get. Colby was also off of his game, and then the undisclosed illness that he had hit Homicide. I did book this as a mayhem, so one of the I guess the description of mayhem is that it can cover up weaknesses, which I figured Homicide would be considering how uh, technically he's injured. Homicide being penalized. Homicide is a poor gimmick. That's new to me. Working injured, declining physical ability. So yeah, excuse me. Homicide having quite a bit of penalties against him. The match itself being, penalized for his injury as well. And we will see if that helps John Schuyler. This is a heel turn for John Schuyler. He was a face. Um, Apparently he's been building it up for 2 segments. I don't remember that. I figured I just set that to heel to turn not that long ago. Okay, so good. Again, earlier in the game, back in January and February, we had people getting pissed off for sudden heel turns, but now they're working out, so whatever. I will take it. Segment rating of 36 for the street fight, but that's not all because basically the 2-on-1 beatdown continues. A pinfall or a submission, as the game had it, was not enough for Colby to put down Homicide. As Colby celebrates his win, John Schuyler goes out to the ring, goes under the ring, grabs a table, and they basically put Homicide on and eventually through the table. Likely, I don't know what Colby, what maybe just did like a double stomp to put Homicide through the table, but that was the exclamation point. Colby Carino putting down Homicide for, the supposed uh, issues that Homicide and Colby's father had years ago. We are ending this storyline. So basically, even though Colby's crew was banned, he, well, not necessarily, not officially banned, but kind of like a matter of pride, Homicide saying, like, I'll keep my boys back if you keep your boys back. And Colby just went and got a new guy to back him up. So we'll probably see more of that and probably see less of Homicide. So, yeah, segment rating of 31, wrapping up the storyline between Colby Carino and Homicide. We get a match between Chucky T and Mance Warner. With, it's not expressly a stipulation, but the so-called Danhausen's briefcase being on the line, Chucky T having stolen it weeks ago and, passed off the blame to multiple people, Mance not buying into any of Chucky T's bullshit and believing that Chuck had it the whole time, which he did. Mance wanting to, do right by his friend, get his friend's briefcase back, but it was not to be. In the end, Chucky T beating Mance Warner after 12 minutes with a handful of tights. So, uh, Sigma Ring of 50, so far best match of the show. Probably will be maybe one of the best matches of the show. Chucky T and Mance having great chemistry, which is good. Chucky T with a performance of 55, Mance with a 40, and we are still keeping the storyline going. So after the match, basically, Chucky T gets the roll up, handful of tights, gets the win, bails out of the ring. Um, Kind of like makes his way up the ramp with the briefcase in tow. Chucky T is basically like, you can't take this, you can't get this away from me. Danhausen does come out of the back. Uh, they kind of do this on like either the stage or the ramp itself, but um, Danhausen comes out after being conked on the head with the briefcase a couple weeks ago, and he points at Chucky T. He does the curse point. Chucky T kind of no sells it and just kind of like looks at him. Is like, "What the hell are you doing? What is this? What is stupid? This is stupid. I'm not doing this." And then that just causes Danhausen to kick Chucky T squarely between the legs. Chucky drops the briefcase. Danhausen picks it back up, and him and Mance Warner abscond back with the briefcase. They didn't win the match, but you know, in the end, they got what they wanted, the briefcase. So, segment rating of 45. Still storyline extending the storyline. Performance of Chucky T was good, but Danhausen was underwhelming, and there needed to be a little more star power for them to be fighting that long. I think it was like must have been like, yeah, a 4 minute segment. So, Danhausen not quite that over to that over to carry it. Danhausen penalized as the crowd got bored. So, but he has a great gimmick. So good for him. Maybe he'll do better as this keeps going along. We still, even though Danhausen has his briefcase back, has his X Division title shot back, we are still continuing the storyline between them because it is doing pretty well for us, and there are some places I would like for it to go. I don't know what I have after this. The four way. The four way to determine the number one contender to the world title, who will get that shot at next month's final resolution, I believe, with the winner of Christian Cage versus Speedball Mike Bailey, whoever walks out of that with the title. In this case, it will be Josh Alexander getting the win and that number one contendership over Lance Archer, Eddie Edwards, and Ace Austin. Uh, Josh Alexander submitting Ace Austin. I think I had this as a wild brawl. Um, let's just say Josh Alexander puts Ace Austin in the ankle lock while Archer and Edwards are fighting, and they are basically too preoccupied with the fight to notice that the what is happening in the ring. Once they do, it is basically too late for that. They do attempt to slide it in and break it up, but Austin cannot bear the pain anymore and ends up tapping out, giving Josh Alexander the victory. So Austin with a 37, Archer with a 49, Eddie with a 53, Josh with a 43. So we are going with Josh as the number one contender. We will see later on tonight if he faces Christian Cage or if he faces Mike Bailey, his good friend Mike Bailey. Yeah, I do this have a wild brawl. Bu- 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 some penalties. So, but lack of heat for this storyline. So I don't know. But yeah, Josh Alexander becomes number one contender for the world title, getting his title shot at Final Resolution next month, we go backstage where we see Willow Nightingale walking when the lights start to flicker like they have been lately for her, and they actually start to turn red when Killer Kelly jumps out of nowhere and attacks Willow Nightingale. So Willow, having been stalked in recent weeks, the stalker revealing herself to be Killer Kelly. Segment rating of 27. This was something I was going to wait to reveal for Impact, but I did need some segments in between matches, so I figured I would just bump this up to a reveal on the pay per view, even if at the risk of a lower number, considering they are fairly lower on the card. But Killer Kelly revealing herself to be Willow Nightingale Stalker, basically Killer Kelly kind of doing what she's doing now in real life and Impact, just doing it to Willow. So, kind of like stalking and hunting her prey, and um, yeah. So, segment rating of 27. We have Swerve Strickland versus Petey Williams in our other match for not only the World X Cup, but a title defense for the X Division title. Uh, Swerve representing Team USA, Petey Williams representing Team Canada. But in the end, it is Swerve Strickland retaining over Petey Williams, but in 11:49 with a 450 splash. Defense number 9 of the Impact title, or the X Division title. Swerve with a 31, Petey with a 20, which is kind of surprising. Swerve was off his game. Petey didn't click at all. Well, they both didn't click at all. Segment rank of 29, very disappointing. I think, did I have, yeah, I had this as a high spots match. Um, I don't know if just Petey is too old at this point to do high spots. Petey was penalized for being rusty. Um, Swerve was penalized for inconsistency and stamina. Petey with a poor gimmick. Yeah, it kind of bums me out. But yeah, in the end, it's Swerve Strickland getting the win and not only retaining the X Division title, but starting off Team USA with 2 points. I think at this point we have a graphic that I will put up on the screen regarding the aftermath of week one, if you will, round one of the World X Cup. Team USA and Team Mexico getting 2 points for their team, while Team Australia and Team Canada remain with 0. And then after the match, we have a title celebration with Swerve Strickland, excuse me, segment rating of 46. So Swerve, his charisma or whatever, I think his overness, whatever this is based on, still up there. Just him and Petey just not having a great match, which is kind of, mm, I won't say kind of disappointing, really disappointing. So, but yeah, the World X Cup trucking along, getting its start and turning point, uh, and Team USA and Team Mexico with the momentum to continue. In our husband and wife grudge match, we get Maria Kanellis and Michael Bennett defeating Nick Aldis and Mickey James in 7 minutes and 42 seconds when Maria pins Mickey by basically using underhanded tactics. Let's just say handful of tights. Um, Maria did not want this match, but was talked into it by Michael Bennett. Well, really challenged by Mickey James, talked into it by Michael Bennett. But it worked out for her. Maria, you know, got the win by nefarious means, but got the win nonetheless. Mickey James with a 33, Nick Aldis has a 38, Michael with a 40, and Maria with a 28. Which Maria has, this is the first time she's wrestled since we've had her. Um, Whatever her last stint in Impact was, that was the last time she wrestled. Mickey hasn't wrestled for us since January, so I wonder if they got rusty penalizations, or penalties, if you will. Nick Aldis for holding back, Mickey James for declining and holding back. Everyone was holding back. Maybe because this was a storytelling match, I guess. No one was rusty, which is surprising considering Maria has not wrestled at all since we've had her, and Mickey hasn't wrestled since the beginning of the year. But I guess that's good. But overall, segment rating of 38. We are continuing the storyline between the two wife guys, if you will. After the match, well, in another segment, but basically, just pretend there's like a video montage or something hyping something up. But we come back, we go to the Impact stage. We see D'Lo Brown as a representative of Impact Management standing there. He announces Dalton Castle. The boys are already on the stage. They are holding up giant fans to hide something. We don't know what that is yet, but when Dalton or D'Lo Brown introduces Dalton Castle thanks everybody, thanks D'Lo Brown, and thanks the boys and whatever. But uh, he wants to announce that his title opportunity is something his golden opportunity that he won weeks ago uh, will be something new for Impact and something that has been never before seen in Impact. And the boys lift their fans, and on pedestals we have 3 belts. We have trios titles in Impact. I don't have them created yet. I will create them when we actually crown them. But right now, I intend on calling them the Triple Impact Championships. But basically, Dalton Castle talks about how him and his boys deserve to be the next Triple Impact champions when Juice Robinson comes out and interrupts them. And he's just kind of like, what the heck? Dalton, you invited me here to this party, what, just to gloat in my face that you guys just automatically are now champions? Like, I've been trying to find a new partner for weeks now, if not months. I've asked you plenty of times. You've, you know, just like ignored me, just did not want me around, whatever. I get that. But what, you just invited me here to rub this in my face, and all of a sudden you're triple impact champions now? And Dalton's like, nope, I didn't say we were triple impact champions yet. And in fact, that's why I wanted you here. Because it's true, I do think we deserve to be triple impact champions, but D'Lo Brown has talked me into having it being decided by a match. The first triple impact champions will be crowned next month at Final Resolution, and it'll be me and my boys taking on you, Juice Robinson, and 2 partners of your choosing. So, Juice is kind of excited but glad, but because he also exclaims, like, I've been looking for a tag team partner for weeks, and now you expect me to find 2 of them? And Dalton's like, well, you've got a month, so, there's got to be, and there's belts on the line, so there's got to be, 2 people you can find who want belts. So, we'll see you at Final Resolution. Uh, yeah. Segment rating of 34. Like I said, I don't have the belts created yet. I'm going to do that once we actually have the match, or, before we have the match. But, like I said, Dalton Castle and the boys versus Juice Robinson, and 2 partners, whoever he can get. The winners will become the first ever triple impact champions. Juice Robinson getting better at his gimmick, which is good to see. And then, speaking of triples, a 6-man tag, we get Brody King and the Motor City Machine Guns versus Jake Something and Heath and Rhino. Uh, this match put together by Jake Something on the last episode of Impact. Jake believing that the Motor City Machine Guns put up Brody King to attack him, and not to mention the Machine Gun's basic lack of respect and, attitude towards Heath and Rhino, put them in a match where if they win, Heath and Rhino get to cash in their Call Your Shot title match next month. And they do. They pick up the win. It's Jake Something and Heath and Rhino. They defeat Brody King and the Guns at 10 minutes. Jake Something, I imagine, won't submit Brody King, but we'll put him down. But we do have kind of shenanigans, if you will, because Brody King and the Guns don't exactly. Well, I guess they do click in the game, but in kayfabe, they are not a well-oiled machine to the point where Brody King just kind of yells at the Guns, pushes them aside. He says, "I don't need you guys." And the Guns just kind of look at each other and like, "Fine." And they drop off the apron, start walking to the back. And Brody ends up, it ends up being a 3-on-1 match for, at least the last few minutes of the match. And basically turns into Brody end up taking a series of finishers. He gets, hit with Heath's whatever Heath's finisher is, then gets hit with the gore, and then gets hit with Jake Something's Into the Void for the win. Jake Something and Heath and Rhino getting the win. Heath and Rhino getting their tag team title shot next month at Final Resolution. Segment rating of 47, so a pretty decent match. Brody with a 49, Saban with a 54, Shelley with a 61, Rhino with a 44, Heath with a 42, Jake with a 43. Two storylines advancing and gaining heat, which is pretty good. After the match, we don't necessarily have a promo from the Motor City Machine Guns, but like the camera, as Heath and Rhino and Jake are celebrating their win, the camera kind of follows the Guns on their way to the back, and you can hear like Shelley and Saban telling the cameraman or speaking through the camera. They're just like, "Hey Jake, you believe us now that we don't want anything to do with Brody King, that we didn't have anything to do with him. And oh, by the way, Heath and Rhino, you're welcome. Enjoy your tag match or enjoy your title shot." And they walk off to the back. So segment rating of 40 for that, kind of showing that the Guns and Brody King were never on the same page, and this, you know, the Guns walking out on Brody, just sealing the deal on that, losing storyline heat a little bit, but you know, I'm sure we can gain that back. And then we have our three-way for the Knockouts title. Rosemary defending against Bianca Blair and Tasha Steelz. But in the end, it's Bianca Blair walking out as the new Impact Knockouts champion and pinning Rosemary. So, I wouldn't say Tasha Steelz was a non-factor in the match, but she was a non-factor in the finish. So, kind of much like how Tasha had pinned Rosemary a couple weeks ago on Impact, Bianca just straight up pins Rosemary in this match and gets the win. So, new Knockouts title or Knockouts champion, gaining heat with the storyline. We are still continuing on with this. Rosemary with a 41, Bianca with a 42, Tasha with a 35, segment rating of 41, which is decent. This was also kind of a test to see if Tasha could hang, because I kind of just wanted this to be Rosemary versus Bianca, but I also didn't want it to be a face versus face match, so I threw Tasha Steelz in to see if she could hang, and like I said, kind of just then wasn't a factor in the finish, but I guess she can still hang. 35 between a 42 and a 41, and storyline gaining heat, not losing heat, we can worse can happen. But yeah, and then we get after the match, Bianca celebrating with a 55 as the new Knockouts champion. Um, Yeah, pretty good number. So I guess her overness, yeah, her overness is pretty up there. I think she's up there with Chucky T, um, in line of overness as well. So, which is kind of why we signed her. But yeah, new knockouts champion Bianca Blair. We go backstage. We kind of get like one of those segments where people are walking toward the ring before their match. It's Mike Bailey walking towards the ring in the halls of the arena towards the ring for his match when all of a sudden he gets his path is cut off by a little kid asking for an autograph. Mike's just kind of like thrown off. He's like, "Kid, I'm in the middle of the match. Like, and how did you get back here anyway?" But his baby faceness, if you will, takes over, and he's just kind of like, "Screw it. Kid wants an autograph. Give him an autograph." So he signs his photo or whatever he has, and gives it to him. Gives him a little pat on the head, and continues his walk toward the ring. And then once like Mike is out of eye line and eye shot or earshot or whatever, you hear, "Hey kid, get over here." And the kid runs back towards, where he came from, and he runs into Petey Williams. And Petey's like chuckling to himself. He takes the autograph from the kid. He's like, "Well, I may not have gotten a win tonight, may not have gotten the X Division title tonight, but I got my fourth member for Team Canada." And it looks like he's doing something to the like peeling a layer off of the photo that Mike Bailey signed and kind of like revealing a contract instead of a uh, photograph, if you will. So, did Mike Bailey just sign himself over as the fourth member of Team Canada? We don't know, but we are starting a storyline, the Pride of Canada, with this segment. Um, Segment ran of 28, which kind of sucks. PD kind of being a disappointment tonight, which really sucks to say. I like PD, but yeah, we are starting a storyline factoring Team Canada, maybe a feud between PD and Speedball Mike Bailey. We'll see. You know, does this count? Who knows? But before that, we have the Impact World Title match. Before we gotta go through all this drama, we gotta settle it. Christian Cage versus Mike Bailey for the Impact World Title. Who walks out in the end? Christian Cage defeating Mike Bailey 18 minutes with an unprettier. Christian Cage successful first defense of the Impact World Title. Christian with an in-ring of 35, Bailey with a 39. So that's kind of surprising. Maybe Christian is rusty or something, or just old. I don't know. Christian's got good psychology. We booked this as a spectacle. We kind of wanted this to be like a long, match. Christian declining physical ability, I guess, and inconsistency and stamina. We did have this like as a long match, but and a little too long given our audience. So segment ring of 38. So not a great match, but in the end, Christian Cage walking out. Um, Really, we've had like during the match, Bailey kind of has flashes of babyface fire and kind of gets the upper hand at times, but in the end, it's just the experience of Christian Cage getting over Speedball. The end of the match, maybe Mike Bailey goes for the Ultima Weapon and Christian just rolls out from the path and Bailey just eats shit on the mat and Christian just picks him up for the unprettier and gets the win clean. So Christian, in the end, retaining the Impact World title, segment ring of 38. But we are not done because after the match, Christian wants to add insult to injury and further embarrass Mike Bailey. So Christian goes out to the ring, goes out to the timekeeper's table, grabs his Impact World title, slides it into the ring, and kind of waits for Mike Bailey to get up to his feet. And it looks like he wants to plant Speedball with an unprettier on the title belt. But that doesn't happen as Josh Alexander runs out to the ring, saving his buddy. Once his music hits, he runs out. Christian drops Bailey, tosses him aside, and we get a brawl between Christian and Josh. But more so like a brawl. Like Christian doesn't lay Bailey out. We just get a brawl between Alexander and Cage. But there is a moment where uh, Christian does have the upper hand because Josh kind of still tired from his match, even though Christian just had his match. Josh also tired from his own match, and Christian kind of getting the upper hand for a moment. He is reeling back with his world title, ready to knock out Josh Alexander. We get a segment rating of 48, and we're gaining heat with the storyline, but we're not done because as Christian Cage is reeling back with the world title and ready to hit Josh Alexander with it and knock him out, we get the music of Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett comes out with a guitar. He runs in, slides into the ring, and gets in between Christian Cage and Josh Alexander. So like Josh Alexander's kind of like on the ropes, kind of like pulling himself up. Christian is, rearing back with the title. Jeff Jarrett slides in with his guitar. He rears back with the guitar, and we get a standoff between Christian Cage and Jeff Jarrett. Title versus guitar. Jeff is telling Josh to get out of the ring, and he's going to handle this. Josh, at first wants to fight, but Jeff's like, "Get out! I will handle this." Uh, Josh gets out, and then Christian just kind of says, "Screw it," and he gets out himself. So we end Turning Point. We have our title match for Final Resolution kind of nailed down. Christian Cage retaining, Josh Alexander winning the number one contendership. So it's going to be Christian Cage versus Josh Alexander one more time at Final Resolution. But Jeff Jarrett is back. Jeff Jarrett got retired by Josh Alexander. So what does Jeff Jarrett, what does he have planned? He's, obviously here. He helped Josh Alexander out of the ring. He faced off against Christian Cage to end the show. But, how is this going to factor into the title match set for Final Resolution? Segment rating of 40. Overall, we got a 43. Uh, Pretty average for us, I guess. Let's see, 50, 55. The Bianca Blair's title celebration was the highest rated segment. Chucky T versus Mance Warner with the highest rated match. But yeah, kind of kind of a little disappointing, but I don't know. I'd have to compare this to other, which I might do right now. Might stick around a little bit, do a post, and something I don't normally do, which is but I do want to make a speech. I do want to. I want to. Kind of looking at my list over from previous. I want to thank Rosemary because she's, she will point her out as a good example as someone who kind of who held the knockouts title and was, gave it to Bianca. Bianca's gonna. Do I want to give her? Might as well give her something because she gave us our top rated segment. Bianca, uh, well, compliment her on a good performance. I don't remember what her. I think it was like a 40 something, but she did give us a 55 segment. And then let's do Chucky. He was our next biggest match. We'll compliment him on a good performance. He also kind of carried that Danhausen getting his briefcase match segment or briefcase segment uh kind of carried that. So we will make a speech. Rosemary is pleased. Bianca's pleased. Chucky's pleased. All right. So we will after we will come back after this loads because there is a lot of data here and it will take a while to load. I will just cut this out. And I think we will just do a quick post mortem, if you will, on Turning Point. Stay tuned. All right, so we are back with a little postscript for Turning Point. I just kind of wanted to see where Turning Point stood with a 43. I mostly wanted it to do better than Bound for Glory because Bound for Glory was kind of like our big disappointment last month with only a 39. We got a 43, so at least it did better than Bound for Glory. Did the on par with Unbreakable and Emergence, but not as good as a lot of our other events. Victory Road, Against All Odds, Rebellion, all doing better. Slammiversary, Under Siege. Under Siege back in May being our big winner with a 47. So the gap's not that big, but it's big enough. I also kind of wanted to see attendance because our attendance has been doing decent. I guess never mind. Well, a lot of these are pre penalty days, I guess, but yeah, turning point with 1300, so that's lower than I guess to be expected. But yeah, sorry to end this on a down note. We do let's see what I guess we got second highest rated, or I guess bet we outdrew Full Gear of all things. But not CMLL Lucha Azteca. But our show quality was, on par with NEW and Tokyo Joshi Pro. Full Gear. Let's look at Full Gear because I saw something in the results or in the things or in the news, I guess. Penelope Ford over Red Velvet. Well, I guess pre-show we can go 10 over Ryan Nemeth. Jamie Hayter over Yuka Sakazaki. Sammy Guevara over Baron Black. Mike Seidel versus Sean Spears. Penelope Ford versus over Red Velvet on the main show. Brian Cage and Men of the Year over Colt Cabana and Butcher and Blade. Britt Baker and Diamante over Ty Conti and Thunder Rosa. The Bunny over Hikaru Shida, Serena Deeb, and Danny Jordan to retain the TBS title. Julia Hart over Kayla Rossi in a ladder match. The Young Bucks versus the Varsity Blondes, defeating them for the tag team titles. Lucha Brothers over Reynolds and Silver. So maybe that's just another, getting Silver out, or another, loss on his way out towards WWE. But that ended up being the match of the night for them. Frankie Kazarian defeated Maxwell Jacob Friedman for the NWA National Heavyweight title. So that was the thing in the news that I wanted to mention because it said the National Heavyweight title was previously um, vacant. So yeah. Pay-per-view buy rate of 0.46. So what did we get if we outdrew 0.65 for our pay-per-view buy rate? Let me. So yeah, a positive to go out on from this episode. Turning Point getting us our top buy rate for the year, 0.65. So that's something. But yeah, I will just end it with that. We'll probably recap a lot of this stuff in our news, but yeah, Turning Point kind of an average show, but you know, it's gonna make us money. So that's what matters, I guess. So stay tuned. We have one more week in November, and then we got December. We got Final Resolution. We got at the end of the year. So stay tuned for how we're gonna end this year out. Thanks for watching.